Good Tuesday afternoon. This is the midday newscast on CNC3 and the TBC radio network. I'm Samson Anton. Top of the news at this time. Attorney General Anand Ramlogan has admitted that he was part of the cabinet meetings that oversaw the approval of Section 34 for early proclamation by President George Maxwell Richards. The AG says he sat in the meetings, but that Justice Minister Herbert Volney was the one who was leading the entire process. He says having come into the office of Attorney General after a career as an attorney in civil matters, legislation that are of a criminal nature are better left or dealt with by the Minister of Justice, and therefore it was dismissed Minister Herbert Volney who took the issue forward.
One can say that this was being done in a vacuum. As the Minister of Justice himself explained, it was viewed as part of the preparatory steps to be taken for the proclamation of the entire bill. I mean, what the section did really was to truncate and trim those matters which were in the magistrate's court, so you will keep the live, relevant, pending matters to go to the High Court. As I said in my speech in the Senate, I don't think anyone had within their contemplation any specific cases, any specific defendants, and I think when the unintended consequences of this measure being passed and proclaimed became apparent, the first thing that happened is that the DPP voiced his concern to me as Attorney General. I went to the Prime Minister at 4 a.m. and the following day, Parliament was convened, Cabinet summoned, and the law was repealed.
Well, asked whether any red flags were raised on the basis that the decision went against what was promised to the Parliament, AG Ramlogan says that the Cabinet were deceived by the way the Cabinet note was worded, and he is saying that it gave the impression that the proclamation of Section 34 was actually helping to achieve what was promised to the Senate.
The way the note was cast and the way it was couched is that this was a prelude and part of the foundation. It was part and parcel of the implementing the promises and assurances which were given in the Parliament. And if you read the paragraph, you will see that one got the impression that, look, this is in fact part of the implementation process that is necessary to operationalize the rest of the Act. And one can see that because it is dealing with the cases that you will identify to go before the High Court.
Well, there's strong support for the Attorney General and Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar today in the face of growing calls from the opposition People's National Movement and other groups for the Prime Minister to dismiss AG Ramlogan for his role in the proclamation of Section 34 of the Administration of Justice Act. The Congress of the People says it supports the Prime Minister and her defense of the AG. Speaking as he left a meeting with Finance Minister Larry Hawaii on the 2012-2013 budget, Congress Chairman Joseph Tony says that while the party does not support any wrongdoing, it is satisfied that the Prime Minister's decision on the fired Justice Minister Herbert Volney was the right one. But he says if there is any evidence against the AG, the Prime Minister must also take action against him.
Malafides in the whole Section 34 matter that he ought not to function in government. And if it is that at the end of the day, the AG has been found to have acted malafides, well, then he will have to go. That is our position. Mr. Tony says that having met Finance Minister Larry Hawaii on the upcoming budget, the party has major concerns with the fiscal package. As to the decision to reintroduce the land and building tax, he says the Congress, which had opposed the property tax, believes that this is necessary and it's an implementation that will help the country to reduce its deficit. Clarity on the issue of the land and building taxes. We also ask that the whole issue of constitutional reform is one that we promised, the government promised the population in its manifesto. We got a mandate to do it, and we felt that there was a need to get cracking on it.
And Minister Hawaii also gave the Congress the assurance that the issue of outstanding wage negotiations will be a national priority in this upcoming budget. And 6 days before the Finance Minister delivers his first budget, Independent Senator Subhash Ramkilawan believes his main focus should be cutting expenditure to ensure growth in the economy. An economist by profession, Senator Ramkilawan says that Minister Hawaii must try to cut spending by at least $4 billion.
Revenue up, and he needs to cut expenditure, basics, he's not going to get economic growth in the short term. And if he can get expenditure down by $3-4 billion and find sources of revenue, then he's going to close the gap. We cannot depend for too long on oil and gas prices being ahead of our budgeted levels, because the world economy is in a shaky place and one never knows when it's going to break.
But Senator Ram Kilowan admitted on the CNC3 early morning show that Minister Hawaii is facing some serious challenges.
If I were in the finance minister's shoes, I would be worried about how do I engender growth. My challenges are to get projects off the ground has taken so much time that it is going to be difficult to ramp up the wheels as quickly as one wants. The other challenge is, where do you cut back in terms of expenditure without some of the economic as well as the political ramifications going forward.
To some other news, the main roadway into the southwestern peninsula was blocked this morning in a fiery protest as residents of Icacos, Cedrus, Granville and Bamboo threw debris and cut trees to block the road to highlight their concerns over several issues affecting them. One resident, Shankar Tilak Singh, told us that their problems range from poor roads and drainage to a lack of proper health facilities.
The closing of the agricultural breeding units and the situation of agriculture and fishing, the fishing treaty for the fishermen and them between Venezuela, Guyana and Trinidad has not been put back in place. In the issue of health, we are calling for the reopening of the district hospital in Cedrus. That has been going on at a very slow pace. Education, we are having problems with the schools and the access for transportation for our children to and from in areas of public utilities, water, road infrastructure, the politics that is going on with repairs of the main road from Icacos to Point Fortin.
The action created a massive traffic pileup in the area as several roads became impassable.
From is one road into the peninsula, which is from Chatham Street down to Icacos. And there's a long, almost about 3-4 miles of traffic backup. And there are fire on the road, trees yesterday, last night, coming into morning, there was a high wind, a lot of trees fall, and the ODPM is saying that they have plans in place for these things in the peninsula. However, to date, there is no fire truck. Again, that's one of the issues that the residents are protesting.
Mr. Tilak Singh says that the action will continue until something is done to deal with the many problems facing these communities. National Security Minister Jack Warner will visit the community of Mango Rose, Laventille today to meet with the residents. The visit forms part of Minister Warner's Laventille outreach program to eradicate the crime problems facing the depressed areas. Over the last 2 weeks, Minister Warner said that he had visited the communities of John and Beverly Hills. At 5 p.m. today, the National Security Minister will meet with residents of Mango Rose to hear their concerns and their views on how crime can be reduced. He will be accompanied by the Acting Police Commissioner Stephen Williams and other top-ranking police officials. A man has been killed while attempting to cross the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway. According to the report, 65-year-old Earl Joseph was in the vicinity of the walkover near to the court's mega store around 7:30 last night when he attempted to cross both lanes of the highway. He successfully crossed the eastbound lane, but on attempting to run across the westbound lane, he was struck by an oncoming car. Investigators say the man died on the spot. In news of sport now, Free Passage yesterday won the CNG Trinidad Derby, the third and final leg of the Triple Crown, ridden by Lionel Ramos. Free Passage upset the pre-race favorite One to Keep, which was ridden by Brian Harding.
And talkative holiday crowd out at Santa Rosa Park for the annual tradition, the running of the Trinidad Derby. There were 10 races on the day's card, but all the focus was on the $500,000 CNG Trinidad Derby. Dave Lammy has the call.
Then comes Free Passage on the inside. Taste of Texas is still there. Big thing on the hunches. And the Big Squeeze has a lot of work to do at the halfway stage. Then comes on the outside of that is Raise Your Glass. But as they come out from the far turn now, 600 meters to race in the Derby. And still it's one for the road and one to keep. Taste of Texas is in third. That's the leading group as they come to the corner. It is still one for the road. That's the one who has the lead from one to keep on the inside. Looking for racing room as they straighten up in the derby. One for the road, one to keep looking to pounce. Then on the inside, Free Passage comes through. And it's going to be a run for the line. With Free Passage, one to keep, one for the road, big thing. Free Passage is the one who picks it up. And Free Passage is going to win the CNC derby. Free Passage wins it. One to keep is second. One for the road is third. Big thing is fourth. Natoya runs on for fifth.
A great run by Free Passage to win the derby, and the Connections will pick up a first prize of $300,000.
Well, taking a look at the weather forecast for the period this afternoon and tonight, Trinidad and Tobago will experience predominantly sunny conditions this afternoon. Tonight will be mostly clear. Seas are normal with waves reaching 2 meters in open waters and less than 1 meter in sheltered areas. The forecast maximum temperature at Piarco's 33 degrees. That's Celsius, of course, and 31 degrees over at Crown Point in Tobago. And that's how we end our midday newscast. Do have a safe day and join us again. We'll have updates from 1 right through to 6 on our major newscast at 7 this evening, right here on CNC3.